Quite recently, Mr. Steve Harvey has appointed himself as the machoest man in the world. He is the authority on manhood. Now, I heard him say that there's no um, Platonic relationship between men and women. It's always about sex. Sex is always on a man's mind. He said, "Look, ladies, if you doubt me, you just ask your best friend. Say, hey, I've been thinking, what about if we shift this thing into a personal relationship, intimate thing, and see how you light up and get excited?" And perhaps it might happen in many instances, or perhaps all the instances that they talk about. But I know of some young men in the world that are different. And what he's saying doesn't cover them, period. I went to college with friends who claim to fame was that he never missed a day in school. From elementary right on to college, he never missed a day. That's wonderful. I have others will say, I never, from elementary school right on to college, I never got anything lower than a B. Guys like that. I met guys who were 24 and 25 who never had sex. And they waited until they were in the final year in college to get serious with a lady who they might have been talking with casually all along. And they got married, soon after graduating, and they're happy. I remember on campus, even me, there are ladies that I will see today, and all I'd be asking them is about their singing or the career they chose and so on. There was never ever on my mind any interest in having sex with them or anything like that. Um, on campus, we move, the men move by themselves. And when you see a guy move over and start hanging out with a lady, it means that he's graduating soon and he loves this lady, he's going to get married to her. But of course, there are guys who fool around, and I know some serious foolers on campus and so on. But my point is this, that there are millions of men in the world today who have friendship with ladies, and it's not about sex, period. For example, I've had it happen to me, and I know it would happen to many other friends. A lady might say, you know what about if we become friends and get intimate or whatever? You run away. Look in the Bible, for example. You had Joseph, who his brothers sold him to an Egyptian ruler, and he started to work in the king's palace. The king's wife wanted to have sex with him. I mean, there are many, many young men who would jump for that. I mean, I'm sure Steve Harvey would be jumping on that. But he said, no, I can't do this against my master and against my God. And he tried to escape, and she grabbed his clothes and showed it to her husband and said he tried to have sex with her and was placed in prison. But eventually he was exonerated. So, Mr. Harvey, I'm sorry to say that perverted thing you're pushing, basically, it's not sounding right. Um, there are many, many, many men and many, many ladies who are just happy to have a relationship that is just platonic. There's no anything that, when I was a young boy, I was in a certain church, sort of scouting, similar to scouting, and there was a motto you had to learn. Keep a song in your heart. Keep a level eye. And keeping a level eye meant this. When you're talking to the ladies, you look her in her face. You don't look down on her chest. You don't look down by her pants or by her crotch. And it worked well because, you see, I know of many friends who, they were so popular and so glib, they could talk them girls into stuff. They ended up getting girls pregnant, they had to marry. So they got married, they couldn't even go to college, they couldn't even finish high school. I know a young lady was on path to go to Oxford, London, Cambridge. She was in a high school that she would have done 7 years in. She got pregnant, she had to leave. They got married and so on. I don't know if she ever went on to, finish her education. Um, there are many Jewish young men. All they doing in the early preteens and so on, they're trying to do that what do you call that thing? Mitzvah or whatever. And they're trying to memorize the scriptures. They want to memorize the four first books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. They want to memorize that. Others, they want to go to Oxford, London, and Cambridge. They want to memorize the chemistry book, the physics book, the history book. They want to, so they're busy. They have things to do. And it's only the perverted ones. In fact, in our culture, when you see a child, 9, 10, hanging out with elder people, elders, you know that this child is going to get married real soon because he's trying to learn the mature ways, learn to cook, learn the job, learn about taking care of business. And by 13, he might marry, and by 26, he owns his own house. He has about 5, 6, 8 kids, and he lives happily ever after with his wife. That's what he wanted. But many others, they're just concentrating on a career. At 11, they know they want to be a medical doctor, they want to be an engineer, whatever, an attorney, and they focus on that. So I don't know where he came up with this view. You see, I looked up his autobiography, as I said, and he attended 2 universities, but I didn't see anything about graduating. I'm assuming that he graduated. The first time I saw him was there was a show he was involved in a school setting, and I see him always trying to get with a teacher. And when a student discover him kissing or whatever, they're gonna start talking like perverts, and he might give them privileges and give them good grades and all that stuff. And I think it was a bad role model. I think it was showing a bad rap in American schools, and I hope that there aren't many young people who got their lives sidetracked because they looked the show and started to behave that way in school. He never sort of demand respect from the students and showing that I'm senior to you. In fact, his behavior was of such that they may not want to respect him, because if you like the teacher, you'll wait until at your home or her home or somewhere private where you'll get that romantic or whatever, not in the classroom and school setting to keep cause a distraction. So I don't know if I don't want to read his book, because I don't know if you really know what he's saying, because not all men are like that. There's a lot of men out there who have not done what you said, sir. They just enjoy female companionship on a platonic level with no intentions, no desires to even get intimate with them.